Dude, I loved this movie. This is what DC should be. I'm so excited about it, I forgot to even do an introduction. So, my name is the Nerd Man. You're watching With Enough Prep Time, um, channel dedicated mainly to comic book, comic book, geek culture, the DCEU, Marvel. Sometimes I'm going to do some other topics. I actually want to do a topic about a reaction to a podcast about atheism versus theism. So a lot of different things. I've got a lot of different ideas, but I also do reactions to other YouTube channels as well. That's your introduction to me. Hope you're doing all well in our post-apocalyptic universe that we're all existing in at the moment. But among the various small pleasures, small delights that we still can get. One of the things I happened to be able to do was to watch Justice League Dark Apokolips War. This is a movie that, to be honest, I didn't feel like I was gonna like as much as I did. But I really ended up digging it a lot. And part of the reason, if you've been watching the DC animated universe recently, a lot of it has been tried to be like more adult and more edgy, it's really based a lot on the New 52. So you have people swearing, you have this kind of stuff happening in the movies, which is fine for me, especially if it's done with the correct characters. So I don't really, unless you've got a very good reason, I don't want to hear Superman or Wonder Woman or even Batman swearing, because there's something a little bit more classy than that about them. I think you have to have a really good reason to get raunchy or anything with those two, because those three in particular, because they're such universal kind of archetypes. I don't think they need that messing with. They're good. They're good as they are, basically. But anyway, this has got like this animated show or animated movie is part of a collection of different kind of animated movies. So before, what the DCAU was doing, if you haven't been watching it, or if you have been watching it, I guess you have, if you're watching this video, but the DCAU was doing films that were really just adaptations of graphic novels. And especially with the output that's come out of the DCAU recently, I have to say I'm much more in support of them just adapting graphic novels, because this whole series of the DCAU with the different standalone movies that are original movies and were kind of loosely based on the New 52, I have to say I have not liked them at all. I've watched every single one: Justice League vs Teen Titans, Justice League Dark, Suicide. I like the two Suicide Squad films. Those have been the best ones so far within this series, if I'm remembering correctly. I liked Justice League, the Throne of Atlantis and stuff like that. But in general, I can't say I've been feeling the connective universe between them. But I won't say that this film makes it worth it. But I will say they did some course correction. I think even they realized the New 52 wasn't hip. It isn't something that people, really enjoyed very much. And they tried to keep in universe while kind of changing things around to make the characters more like their iconic selves. However, in the process of doing that, my opinion was They made Superman pretty vanilla. It seems to be either DC can contemplate a Superman as ultra dark and hard and a bit more gritty and violent, or he has to be like vanilla and happy and ooh da, 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 and it's just like that is not the two extremes. I wish if they want to find a charming way to present Superman within a modern context, go back to the Superman movie they did, which was Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. Take that character, that Clark Kent and that Superman, and put that as your Superman every time in the DCAU, and maybe even carry that out to the movies. That character, that Clark Kent, that and I think you'll be doing a better job. But to my surprise, in this one, I actually liked Superman a lot. So I'm going to go into it by character and what the story is. So the story, basically is based around Darkseid. I'm going to do a spoilers heavy. It's going to be very spoilers heavy. But the story is based around Darkseid actually invading the Earth and succeeding, and he basically kind of decimates the Earth. He destroys the Justice League very, very early on. And to give a kind of somewhat of a comparison, I'm going to compare this to Infinity War and Endgame. Now, Infinity War and Endgame, I find have the biggest plot holes probably of any successful movie in the history of cinema. So much leeway and excuses is given for that movie. So many times do you have writers explaining parts of the movie after the fact to be able to explain away what was done in the movie that doesn't make sense. So I have that problem with Infinity War and Endgame anyway. But let's just say, forgetting about that and just saying, I think people underestimate with Infinity War and Endgame how much, if you don't care about these characters, that the films aren't that thrilling. They're good movies, to be sure, but they really are not that thrilling. So I'm wondering now with Apokolips, with this particular version, Justice League Dark Apokolips War, I get the feeling that this is really a whole meal. This is a movie you could watch with only this. I don't even think you need to know that much about the universe going in, and it would be a whole meal. It's a great movie in and of itself. It doesn't need any extra knowledge about the characters. It invests you immediately because you know the past of these characters, you know where the characters are going. So within the first 5 minutes, you've already met the Justice League, you know what Superman's plan is, and you know that Darkseid defeats them, completely destroys them. And the second thing in want of comparison that I would do with Endgame, because it is a good comparison between Endgame and this. This is basically the DCAU's Infinity War and Endgame all in one. And it makes me wonder why they don't take these scripts. As much as I'm not a big fan of the DCAU and its representations of Superman and Wonder Woman and whatever, I know that if they had have put this universe into cinema and made this universe cinema and it culminated in this, they would have been making billions upon billions of dollars just to make the dialogue a bit more sophisticated so it isn't a cartoon. They would have made a lot of money. But by want of comparison, The good thing about this universe in comparison with Marvel is there's no cop out with death. Death is death, in this movie. These are people getting murked. And anyone who isn't killed, they come back for good, solid reasons within story. No time travel, no, cop out, oh, let's do a really shocking thing where we make Black Panther and Spider-Man die, but then we can cop out by Tony Stark and in 1 hour invent time travel. There's no cop out like that in this. People die and they're hurt, and then if they don't die, they're violated into becoming slaves to Darkseid. Yeah, so that is really, really exciting. So it means, your favorite characters, you're on the edge of your seat as to, holy crap, is this person gonna make it? So at the end of the movie, when they do kind of do a few things where death doesn't quite mean death, it's shocking because you've seen how many of the earlier deaths meant death. These people were dead, right? And so going through the characters as well, so I loved this Superman. This Superman is exactly, for me, what Superman should represent. I have only one criticism about him, which I will get to at the end of this discussion. And so the thing that I love about this Superman is he is Superman independently of his powers. So as soon as they take over, as soon as Darkseid takes over within the first 5 minutes of the movie, he strips Superman of his powers. I won't tell you how, so you have something to enjoy in the movie. And then Superman comes back after realizing he was the one who was the person who planned and designed this attack on Apokolips, and it is ultimately his responsibility that so many, and in his mind most of his teammates are dead. Yeah, so most of them have died, and there's nothing he can do about it. And his only thing now is he wants to save the world. Just if he can, he's going to give everything he can. What he can do, his last chance to save the world. And lo and behold, this is a Superman who's extremely depowered, extremely vulnerable, can die at any point, and yet he's doing the same thing he would do as he does when he is with his power, struggling with every ounce of his being to save the world. And I love that. That is exactly what Superman is supposed to be. And then added on top of that, this Superman so the only thing I disliked about this is, again, they're running with this stupid thing that came out of Justice League, that Superman is so powerful that he can almost take out the whole of the Justice League by himself. And that's BS. Okay, this is not how it's supposed to be. He can be the most powerful, but there's other people or characters that have things, physically, strength-wise, he can be the most powerful. But there are other characters who have things that should be equally, to give him a run for his money. Batman's strategy, Wonder Woman's warrior skills. She's almost as strong as Superman, but she's an incredibly capable warrior. The Martian Manhunter, telepathy. Flash, way faster than Superman. So the core members of the Justice League should be a problem for Superman. Individually, each individually should be a problem. It doesn't mean Superman can't beat them at the end, but it shouldn't be that, Superman is the only one who could take on Darkseid. That's bullshit. The whole of the League, like in the beginning movie, the first movie that happened, took on Darkseid. So why is it now that only Superman can fight Darkseid? When did that happen? In Justice League War, they were all, fighting Darkseid. They all got murked because Darkseid's that powerful, but they didn't need it so that you had to take away Superman completely for anybody to be able to fight Darkseid. That's BS. And I don't like that introduction. But apart from that, their Superman was played perfectly, symbolically, mythologically. That is how Superman should be. The other complaint I have is about Lois Lane. When the hell did Lois Lane become this general super fighter? Great, Lois Lane should be the intrepid reporter. Should be brave and whatever. But there's a scene in this movie where she beats up Harley Quinn, and I'm like, way to make your Harley Quinn look like a badass. Harley Quinn, member of the Suicide Squad, super criminal, has been got the greatest, one of the greatest, fighting skills for. What is going on? When does Lois Lane be able to beat Harley Quinn in a fight? Again, wrong use of character. I didn't even mind Lois Lane being a general, the thinker who gets everyone together. But wrong use of character. You could have brought in another character that Lois Lane is teamed up with. Maybe since they didn't give the Wonder Woman family much love, you could have had a depowered Wonder Girl fighting Harley Quinn to make more sense, where she's the one who finally helps them convince the Suicide Squad to go on the mission with them. But anyway, so that's Superman. So Superman, that's the story. He's the one who's fighting without his powers and with Lois Lane to they're basically leading the resistance to get all the other metahumans, including the Suicide Squad and other people like that, to team up with them to do one last assault on Darkseid. And there's no going back. The people who died in the beginning of the movie were killed. Yeah. So the characters who died, I'm not going to tell you who died because that's another thing. 'Cause I don't want to ruin the movie completely for you. Then you have Wonder Woman's arc, which is fantastic. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but I'll tell you one thing. After this movie, Batman to me is the Dark Knight. Superman obviously is the Man of Steel. Wonder Woman is the Amazon gangster. Loved her in this movie. Only problem I have with her, similar thing. She is on Superman's level. That is her thing. She doesn't have to be as strong as Superman, but her warrior skills make up for it. And they need to stop doing that. They need to stop nerfing Wonder Woman, because that's the power of her story. She is the female equivalent of what's the best in, female, independent of any male character can be. That's what the creator created her for. William Moulton Marston created Wonder Woman, right? He created her to be Superman's equal. And I don't like the idea of her being like one-on-one, just toe-to-toe as strong as Superman. I like it that she's more vulnerable, in terms of like, if Superman gets her, hits her, or a Kryptonian or something more powerful actually gets her, her bones can break. She can, she isn't invulnerable like Superman, but her strength, her speed of combat, and just her general training as an Amazonian, and the weapons and magical weapons she has, is what allows her to, given that she's nearly as strong and, all of these kind of things, to be able to fight on that level. So Wonder Woman was fantastic in this movie, and she's just a general. She's where she needs to be. My only problem again is Batman and Superman are clearly like made into the centerpieces of the movie, and I think Wonder Woman needs to be elevated to that level as well. For her to be taken as seriously by comic fans who you want to be fans and go out to see the movies and stuff like that, you need to start elevating her position and elevating the meaning of her story and her central thread to stories a lot more. And it just bothers me that they don't do that. And I know that's a fanboy criticism, and it's not a criticism that, story wise, she worked perfectly in this movie, and I don't take away anything from the portrayal or anything like that. Story wise, I was completely happy with where they went with the story. I just wish she had been. I wish a few more Wonder Woman characters were used. They brought in Donna Troy. I was like, whoa, exciting, because they teased Donna Troy at the end of the Titans movie, but we'd never seen Donna Troy, so we never used Donna Troy. And I think this would have been a perfect place to use Donna Troy, and maybe she could have died during the movie, fine, but use her instead of Lois Lane fighting Harlequin, which doesn't make any sense. Use Donna Troy. Say Donna Troy is depowered, and she's just an Amazon now, and she was one of the people who survived, and have her fight. It would have made more sense. And then Wonder Woman should I don't want to give too much away, but I'll just put it this way: if there's a battle between the boss, it shouldn't just be Superman fighting that boss. It should be all the team fighting the boss. Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman at the end. I don't want it like it's like Endgame and Infinity War. You need to make sure that Captain America, Tony Stark, and Thor, and it should have been Hulk as well, get to fight Thanos by themselves. You need that moment where they fight Thanos by themselves. It shouldn't just be, oh, only Iron Man can do it, or only Thor can fight this guy. No, it's like those are the core members, and they need to come up with something. I know Batman can't go on, like one-on-one with, with Darkseid, but he can. I think he can find ways around that. And then, Wonder Woman obviously should be able to fight Darkseid. But I'm not going to go into why I'm saying that, but I just think they should be part of the final battle. It shouldn't just be one character over the other. And lastly, I want to talk about Batman. Now, Batman, again, loved him in this movie. Played the exact position he should have. Finally, they did it one where, it's always Superman and Wonder Woman being corrupted, and that is so lazy. And finally, they put respect on Batman's name, but while showing also, yeah, look, this guy can be corrupted, right? And if he's corrupted, he's dangerous as well. He's probably as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than Wonder Woman or Superman in this movie. By Darkseid corrupting Batman, changing his way of thinking, he's made more dangerous than anybody on the Justice League, and I love that. That's exactly Batman's position. That's his place, what he should be. And so, them trying to get around like how Batman strategizes is an incredible part of the movie, and brings a lot of tension and shows how masterful a thinker Darkseid is to use Batman like that. So I loved Batman. One thing I don't like too much of the Bat family in this movie, that we all know the Bat family, yeah, like we've seen them, we know them. I want to see some other characters get their shine. Let's get some of the Superman family. Let's get some of the Flash family. Let's get some of Wonder Woman's family, the Shazam family. I would have loved to see the Shazam family in this, like Darla and all of that. I don't want to see Batwoman and Batgirl. That can be taken by one person. Yeah? I don't need to see Robin, Nightwing, all of them. I know everyone loves Batman, but it's enough for me. Batman, I like to see Batman. Maybe one of his Robins. Yeah, the whole story is centered around one of the Robins? Do we need the next Robin, and then then Batgirl, and then Batwoman? You know, it's like that could have been taken up by, you know, Freddie Freeman from, from the Shazam family. You know, somebody else, and Shazam was in this, and that was cool. But Shazam should have been more in this, and he was fantastic in this movie. But yeah, and it gets to a point where, is Batman a superhuman? Because I'm starting to think the guy's a superhuman, because Damian Wayne, here's a big spoiler in this movie. It was one of the parts of the movie I hated most. Damian Wayne in this movie ends up getting blasted by an Omega beam, and it kills him. And I'm thinking, all right, yeah, cool, he's dead. He's dead. Guy's dead. But then he just starts talking to Batman, like giving his dying speech to Batman. And I'm like, no. You're human. If an Omega beam hits you, an Omega beam hit like certain super characters in this movie, and it can murk them, it killed them, which it should do. You know, one of Darkseid's Omega beams. And we've got Drake, the Robin, who is really the worst Robin, but he was actually tolerable in this movie. Damian Wayne, the son of Batman. He was actually quite good in this movie, but usually I kind of hate him. He somehow, gets blasted. But it's amazing to me that Wonder Girl can't survive the attack from Darkseid with his parademons and everything, but somehow Damian Wayne can. Okay, I don't know why. Like the rest of the Teen Titans with all their powers, they can't survive this, but Damian Wayne does. But anyway, now I see why. Kid's a superhuman. He's not human. He specifically. So he basically survived an Omega beam in this. An Omega beam hits him, and he kind of survived it. And that's the kind of bat nonsense that I'm just not into anymore. I just don't. I'm so over it with Batman. Half this movie was the Batman family and keeping them alive way too long. I should say, special shout out to the Flash. Love the Flash in this movie as well. Flash is used completely correctly in this movie, and I love the way they've been connecting the thread of the Flashpoint movie throughout the DCAU as well, with the Suicide Squad, one of the better movies. Two criticisms I have of the movie in particular. It goes back to the Batman family again, and because Batman or because Joker. Enough is enough with Harley Quinn already. Enough is enough is enough. I am so fed up. I liked her in the first Suicide Squad movie. I even like her to a certain degree in Suicide Squad, the two animated features of Suicide Squad. But again, another thing they could have brought in, instead of Lois Lane being the general, why not Amanda Waller be the general? That would have made a lot more sense. Then Amanda Waller could have fought Harley Quinn, and then it would be finally without the bombs in their necks. Harley Quinn could finally get to fight Amanda Waller. That would have been a really cool catharsis to have at the end of this series, considering the relationship that Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad had with Amanda Waller. So I was really upset that we didn't see Amanda Waller in this movie. It would have made much more sense than having Lois Lane be a general and some kind of fighter in this movie. I'm just like, what is going on with Lois? So now she's she's a soldier, warrior, whatever. But going back to Harley Quinn, enough is enough. This is my only criticism of the movie. She's not funny. Is it just me? Or am I going crazy? I don't think this chick is that funny. She's not the Joker. She has nothing on the Joker. There's nothing. The only real interest in this character is when she's getting a beat down from the Joker, and then you feel sorry for her. It allows you to tolerate her insanity when she's getting thrown out of buildings by the Joker. I'm sorry, I don't get this character, and she grates on my nerves. She's just an annoying character. I like the TV series with her, because the people tone it down. But still, I'm like, why of all the characters you could be doing an animated series of, are you doing an animated series of Harley Quinn? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Do something of the Flash or Shazam, or even anybody else deserves this an animated show more than Harley Quinn. It's just juvenile. It's juvenile humor and whatever, and it just takes away. Like, I don't know what she's supposed to be. Honestly, I don't know how she can fight so well. Still hasn't been explained to this day, since the Paul Dini introduction of this character till now. So she's a psychiatrist. The Joker falls in love with the Joker. Turns herself into Harley Quinn. All of a sudden she can do flying backflips and somersaults over whatever. Does not make any sense to me. What is with Harley Quinn? So anyway, that's my review of the movie. I hope you enjoyed this episode of With Enough Prep Time. Please like and comment. Please comment, and if you want to hear more, please subscribe, because I'm not getting that many views, but for the viewers that are watching, I'm gonna do some videos about the things that pop up. There's not much going on at the moment within the comic book movie world, but there are some things I want to discuss anyway, like this atheism thing, some things about the Snyder Cut you should look forward to as well. But this movie was great, and I think it's way better than Endgame and whatever. And if DC is clever, they could tweak this universe that they have they could tweak this universe that they've. I think they could tweak the whole thing, so they could go back to the beginning, of this animated universe that they've put together, and they could tweak it, and then make a really, really good cinematic universe. Start it from where they are now in the DCEU, and then go on from there. And this would be a wonderful culmination to that universe. And it wouldn't even take that long, because you could skip a few movies like the Teen Titans movies and stuff like that, and then just put this at the end, a culmination to all of it. And I think DC would really, really have something, because this was excellent, and the right people were edgy, the right people swore and did all the edgy stuff, so you could have that adult kind of stuff and bring on board the kind of more Snyder fans. I don't know if Snyder fans will be able to deal with another director doing the dark, more mature movies, but it seems that's what they're really yearning for. And we want to bring the Snyder fans back on board to the DCEU, because I also agree that the DCE should skew darker and more mature, but be reassured that they're respectful to their characters when they are dark and mature. Not that they make characters who are like Shazam or Wonder Woman or whatever, have dark motivations. They should be the light, the uplifting, the whatever in this more serious, mature universe. And this is exactly what this film did perfectly. That's how Superman should be. by the end, once this is a great deconstruction. Or you want to see a deconstruction of Superman that does it right. This is it. This is a deconstruction, reconstruction of Superman all in once. But in the beginning of the movie, he's talking proper violence, and I was like, oh god, this again. I'm not feeling this Superman. He realizes he was wrong after what he did. After he comes back and he gets his redemption, and then he gets his superpowers back. But the central thread that this Superman, it showed that doesn't matter with his powers or without them, he would always fight for humanity in the same way. And I love that about this version of Superman, and the fact he was so angry and so mad and so dark, but he still maintained the underlying kind of Boy Scoutness and morality. I thought they did a tremendous job of putting Superman in a darker world, and they did the same thing with Wonder Woman. This Wonder Woman was just gangster line after gangster line after gangster line, exactly how Wonder Woman should be, like a warrior priestess. Like she is the greatest warrior of the DCEU. And that's how it is, and it's like an ancient, mythic kind of warrior. So yeah, that was good. Batman the same. Okay, so thanks very much. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment. Tell me what you think. Any subjects that you want me to cover. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.